All right, I've gone through and pretty much completed our gun here. I've added some pieces, and let me just go through and talk about a couple of these now. Many of them, like say this piece back here, is a very simple piece. I'm just going to hit the division key on the numpad and isolate that. And as you can see, it was just a cube that I stretched with points and then added some edge loops once I added a subsurf modifier. So let me hit that division key again, and let's isolate this one here. This one, same thing, just a cube. And then I inserted some edges to create faces so I could connect up a cylinder here. I just created a cylinder with no caps, used the solidify modifier, added a subsurf modifier, and then connected it to this cube here. These pieces over here, as you can tell, these are from a path. So this one right here is, of course, created from a path, just like we've done before. Same with these over here. So this piece and this piece. Let me isolate those. These are just paths as well. These pieces here, this and this and this back here, began as just a polygon plane. So I created a polygon plane. Let's take a look at this one here. I created a polygon plane and just put it right in here, I believe, and then just extruded it out and added edge loops just to get this basic shape. Then once I got this shape, I added a subsurface modifier, and then I added a solidify modifier to give it a little bit of thickness. I also added some edges here to hold those edges. And then I did this only on one side and modeled it to this point here, and then added a mirror modifier to mirror it over to the other side. This piece here was just a cube. Let me tab into edit mode here. This was just a cube with edges added and extruded up. This here, this kind of magazine bag here to hold the rounds, all I did was create a cube, add some edge loops, add a subdivision surface modifier, and then I just came in and in vertex mode just began pulling points in and out like this to get kind of a shape that looks a bit like a cloth bag. Now once we do our texturing, we'll be able to sell that as a cloth bag a little better, I think. These up here were just cubes. Nothing really new or interesting about these, just cubes with extrusions here pushed in and edges added to hold those edges. In addition, I created the insides here, the part with the foot. And if we tab into edit mode, you can see here, I'll just hit the L key to select this piece here. And you can see there's kind of an interior piece with the foot here on the end. Now, there are a couple of pieces I need to deal with, I think. And one is this piece right here where it has this kind of X design on it. You can see it right in here as well. And I think the best way to do this is going to be to use our sculpting tools. So let's take a look at how to do that. I'll select this piece here and zoom in with the period key. And I think I better move it to a new layer. I'll press M and 2 and move this to a new layer over here. In addition, I have ambient occlusion turned on for the display. Let me turn that off over here in the properties panel right here. I'll turn that off there. That allows you to see the model a little better, but it slows down the viewport, so I'll just turn that off for now. So to create these lines here, what let's do is instead of using a subdivision surface modifier, let's use a multi-resolution modifier. First of all, I'll go ahead and turn off the mirror. We don't need that for now. And I'll go ahead and delete the subsurf modifier. Now that we've done that, let's go ahead and add a multi-resolution modifier. And in this panel, what we can do is click Subdivide, and that will pretty much do the same thing as we had with the Subdivision Surface modifier. It'll smooth out our mesh. So I'll take it up to 3 for now. And now let's go over from Object Mode to Sculpt Mode. And in here, let's adjust our settings to create this pattern. First of all, I'm going to click up here on the icon for the brushes, and I'm going to choose this Sculpt Draw brush. For the curve, I want this one here. I also want to make sure my stroke is at line. This will allow me to create an absolutely straight line with the brush without me having to try and keep my hand still. I've got the strength currently at 0.75. I've got a radius of about 20 pixels, and this is going to change or be different depending on the size of your object here. I'm going to go ahead and go to my side view, and what I want to do is just click and drag a stroke here. I think I'll hit the F key and drag the mouse a little to make my stroke a little bit bigger. So now it's up to 39 pixels. And let's subdivide it a little bit more. Let's take this up, say to 5, and see how that works. So once again, I'll click here and drag to here and let go. And then I'll click here and drag out to here and let go there. Looks like I didn't get it quite straight. I'll undo it and do that again. Click and drag and see if I can get it a little bit more horizontal. There we go. And now I'll do the same thing up here. Click and drag and bring that over, say to right about here. There we go. All right. We have a little bit of a bump right here where they crossed. We could maybe smooth that out a bit. What we can do is increase the size of the brush a bit. And I can come over here to the smooth brush. Let's do that here. And it's currently at 0.5 strength. Let's just click and see what happens. And we can smooth it down just a little bit. All right, there we go. That looks pretty good. So now I'll go back to Object Mode. And the reason why we can't see this here is because our preview is set to 0. We can increase this back up to 5 so we can see it now. And let's go ahead and bring back layer 1. And there we go. So that gives the impression of that design element there on that piece. I'll go ahead and take this and mirror it over to the other side with add modifier mirror. And if we tumble around, we can see there it is, mirrored in the x-axis. Now, there's one last thing I'd like to try. I had initially said that I would do the texture on the hand grip in the texturing phase. I'd like to give this a try here in the modeling stage, though. I'm not sure how it's going to work, but let's give it a try before we move on to retopology. So I'm going to come over here and take a look at this in edit mode. We have a subdivision surface modifier on it, and what we need to do is make some extrusions here all the way around. I think what I'd like to do is remove a couple of these edges. So I'm just going to hit X and dissolve edges here, like this. Now I think that's held its shape pretty well. But what I want to do now is add quite a few edge loops here to get these kinds of ridges. So what I'm going to do is add an edge loop and scroll the mouse wheel quite a bit. And I'm looking at the number of cuts down in the bottom left-hand corner as I scroll here. And I'm thinking maybe I might try 20 cuts here. Let's try this. I'll click and click again. Let's see if that's altered the shape of it any. It's altered it a bit, but it's not too bad. Now let's come in here and go to face mode. And what let's do is choose every other row here like this, beginning up near where the trigger is. I'm just going to go all the way down to here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got 8 rows here selected. And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and hit E for extrude and hit enter. And then I'll hit E again and hit enter. And then I'm going to press S Shift Z. And holding the Shift key down, I'm going to move these in just ever so slightly, just a tiny bit, like that. So that gives us the impression of those ridges on the hand grip. I don't know, I don't think that's too bad. I think that might just work. So let's go ahead and go with that. And in the next video, we'll begin retopology.